If you've ever opened your YNAB and seen like 23 orange and red notifications staring back at you and thought to yourself, I'll deal with this later, only for later to turn into like 3 weeks or 6 months, this video will fix that forever. Hi, I'm Tyler. I'm a YNAB certified coach, and I'm about to show you the exact 5-minute routine that keeps my YNAB crystal clear with minimal effort, no overwhelm, and no marathon catch-up sessions. I think there's a misconception out there that YNAB is difficult or takes a lot of time to use. It's really not, and it really doesn't. But there is a real problem with maintenance fatigue. You think you need a half hour to get back on track, to catch up with your transactions, and that thought alone makes you want to avoid it. And pretty soon days turn into weeks, and suddenly your YNAB feels like a guilt machine instead of a clarity and peace machine. Just today, I met with a client who hadn't even opened her YNAB in 6 months. But staying on top of your money doesn't have to take very much time. It definitely doesn't have to take an hour a week. In fact, it takes 5 minutes, or often far less, if you do it the way I'm about to show you. This might be a terrible analogy, but think of it like doing the dishes. If you rinse and load your dishes right after you eat, it's usually pretty quick and painless. Wait a few days, and suddenly you've got a science experiment in your sink. This routine will keep your YNAB clean before it gets gross. 5 minutes or less, 3 simple steps, and you'll never feel behind again. So let's dive in. By the way, the best part about this routine is you don't have to remember it because it's built right into the YNAB app. We're going to go through the notifications in the order that YNAB presents them. Step 1 is to approve new transactions. And this takes a couple of minutes max. And what's kind of crazy is once you start doing this, you'll start to use it as your daily dopamine hit. So it'll actually be something you look forward to and feels rewarding, not like a pain or anything like that. So I'm going to show you this in my own budget, and hopefully I won't be too embarrassed. So I'm going to pull it up on my trusty phone and see how it goes. Okay, so right now I've got 22 transactions to approve. So let's do that now. Because I've linked my bank accounts to YNAB, it imports all my transactions automatically. And if it's to a payee that I've used before, it even puts it in the correct category. So you can see here we've got movie tickets. Amazon's an interesting one. We're going to come back to that in a second. Eating out, the Adobe tax, more eating out. You can see I've got some income here, just some earned interest from a couple of accounts. Approve those. Notice, of course, that you can select multiple transactions at once and approve them in bulk, and it goes even faster. Dog daycare, paying the internet bill, more entertainment from Apple, groceries at Costco. That was an exceptionally low Costco bill, by the way. I'm pretty proud of myself. I think I only got like 2 items that time. Fuel for the car. So here's a transaction that doesn't have a category. Here's how easy it is to assign. This is from a recent trip. So I'm going to put it into my domestic travel category. Here's another transaction from a recent trip. Eating out from the gas station. Caleb Hammer would yell at me at this point. My Obsidian subscription. Now, as I'm approving these transactions, notice how I'm not judging myself. I'm just syncing up my reality with my plan. And see how fast that went? It went fast because I'm not doing any analysis right now. I'm not rethinking anything. I'm simply acknowledging. Yep, that happened. Yep, I spent that money. Doing this keeps your category balances accurate, and more importantly than that, it keeps your brain in sync with where your money is actually going. Now, I left these Amazon transactions for last because I want to show you a cool trick. I know I purchased these things from Amazon, but I can't remember what they are because I purchased a lot of things for Amazon, and I don't know what the job was for these dollars. So if I click on the transaction, I can open my Amazon order history and look for a transaction that matches this amount, $30.01. Click on the order, and it was batteries. How nice. So now I need to categorize this not as clothing, but as consumables. I'll do the same quickly for these other 2 Amazon transactions. $13.96. Looks like that was a music book, so I'm going to put that under my hobbies. And finally, I forgot how much this was, $11.20, a book. So I'll put that under education and books. Okay, YNABs let me know I'm all done approving my transactions. So let's go ahead and move to step 2. Step 2, move money. Now, why would you want to move money? Well, after you categorize all your transactions and approve them, you may notice that you've got some overspent categories like I do. I've got 2 of them right here. So I'll go ahead and click cover. Now, these are relatively small overspending, but this principle works even if you've overspent by a lot. If a category is overspent, cool. All I need to know is where's the money going to come from to cover that overspending. And YNAB makes this very easy. Entertainment, I spent more than I had planned for. No problem. I can take that from eating out. Now, I'm not 100% sure why it didn't cover the full amount because I had enough money. I think I clicked through too quickly, so let's try that again. Okay, there we go. Now that category is fully covered. And it looks like Costco charged me $5.55 more this year than they did last year for my Costco membership. So I'm just going to take that from stuff I forgot to budget for. And that's it. That's step 2. Overspending like this isn't a failure. It's feedback. It shows me what's happening in real life versus what I thought would happen. And that's valuable information. The faster you fix overspending like this, the faster you can trust your plan again. Okay, now that everything's covered, everything's green, let's move on to the final step, which is assigning new money. And this doesn't take long at all, especially if you've got targets set for each of your categories, or in cases like this, where I just have a few extra dollars of earned interest income that I can assign without too much thought. So I'll click Assign and pick a category for this to go into. So let me just scroll through my plan and see if there's a place I want to put it. Anything jumps out, catch my attention. I noticed that YNAB's telling me I've got $12.18 of underfunded categories, so I could just auto-assign to those underfunded categories. Sure, let's do that. But I've still got about $30 left to assign. I know the current month for me is fully funded now, so I'm going to start putting this money towards next month's plan. To do that, I'll go to Assigned in Future Months, December, which I haven't really started funding yet. It's the next month. And I'll auto-assign that based on my targets. Boom, all done. Now, once everything's assigned, I've given every dollar a job, and that feels amazing. I don't have any more loose ends. I've got nothing floating around. I know exactly what I can spend and what I want to spend it on. And that's the feeling that keeps me coming back to YNAB, clarity. And frankly, it's deeper than clarity. It's peace of mind. This routine really made YNAB easy for me. And the best part is you can do it anytime, when you're bored, when you're watching Netflix, standing in line, or waiting for your coffee. It only takes a few minutes, as you can see, and you can even break it up into smaller chunks if you want. If you can't finish all in one go, no problem. Do 30 more seconds next time you get some downtime. But if you want to make YNAB even easier, I've got 2 quick bonus tips that will shave off even more time as you go about using YNAB and help you get the most out of the app and help you stay effortlessly on top of things. Okay, bonus tip number 1 is to pin key categories. Here in this section, you can see that I've pinned the categories that I check most often. For me, that's a big goal that I have. Also, groceries, eating out, because those are things I often do on the go. And before I buy my groceries, before I decide if I'm going to eat out versus eating at home, I like to take a quick peek and see how I'm doing. It's about the first week of the month, and I've got $145 left in eating out. That's going to inform the decisions I make today, tomorrow, and the next day about whether I stop at McDonald's on the way home or make a sandwich. I also recently went on a trip to visit some family in another state, so I pinned my domestic travel category to this view so that as I traveled, I could see how I was tracking against the amount of money I had available for that trip. So pinned categories are just a quick way to put what matters to you front and center so it's easy for you to check in on your plan and stay on track. And bonus tip number 2 is directly related to this. It's simply to make it a habit to check your plan in YNAB before you buy something, not after. So we saw how we can cover overspending when it happens, and it definitely will sometimes, and that's totally fine. But let's say you're at the store, you're at Target, you're at Costco, wherever. You see something you really want to buy, but you weren't planning on buying it. So before you put it in the cart, open YNAB and check the category that it would come from. If it's green, great. You can buy it guilt-free because you know you've planned to buy something with that money. Now, if the category is yellow or empty, you've got a choice to make. And that choice gives you power. Move some money into that category before you make the purchase, and you'll never feel buyer's remorse again. It's pretty amazing. So there you have it. 5 minutes or less, 3 steps. Approve, move, assign. Do this anytime you'd normally scroll on your phone, and you'll never feel behind in YNAB again. No more guilt, no more I'll deal with it later. Just calm, confidence, clarity, and peace. Remember those 23 red and yellow notifications I mentioned at the start of this video? Well, with this routine, they'll never pile up like that again. And if they do, you'll know how to fix them in just a few minutes. So here's what I want you to do right now. Pause this video, open up YNAB on your phone, set a 5-minute timer, and do this routine with me. I'll be here when you get back. And if this helped, go ahead and subscribe and check out this next video where I share even more lessons I've learned from using YNAB for over 10 years, because I think it'll rewire how you think about earning, spending, and financial freedom.